You've likely been in a room where everyone is laughing, exchanging quick-fire stories, and feeding off an energy that feels completely natural to them, yet utterly exhausting to you. You sit there, observing the rhythm of the conversation, but you don't jump in. You aren't being shy, and you aren't being rude. You're simply silent. And then comes that inevitable, stinging label. Someone looks at you and decides you're boring. But what if that silence isn't a lack of personality? What if it's actually a symptom of a brain operating on a frequency most people can't even hear? Welcome to Broke Brain, where today we are stripping away the boring label to reveal the hidden machinery of the silent genius. The truth is, there is a deep psychological reason why high IQ individuals often seem dull to the outside world, and the solution to navigating this social disconnect is hidden within the way your brain processes reality. If you've ever felt like an alien in your own social circle, pay close attention, because by the end of this video, I'm going to reveal the one specific social glitch that keeps the smartest people in the room from ever being understood. Think about the last time you were stuck in a loop of small talk. For most people, discussing the weather or what they had for lunch is a form of social grooming. It's low-stakes, high-reward bonding. But for a high IQ individual, this feels like trying to run a supercomputer on a dial-up connection. It isn't just uninteresting, it is physically draining. Psychologists often point to a concept known as cognitive load. When your brain is wired to constantly analyze patterns, project future outcomes, and dissect the why behind every what, the surface-level chatter of everyday life offers zero stimulation. But it doesn't stop there. This disconnect goes much deeper than just being too smart for small talk. High IQ individuals often possess what is known as a high intellectual threshold. This means their baseline for what constitutes a meaningful conversation is set much higher than the average person's. To the outside world, this looks like someone who is disengaged, cold, or just plain boring. In reality, that person is likely running 1,000 simulations in their head. Or perhaps they've already predicted the end of your story 3 sentences into the beginning. There is a subtle tragedy in being a silent genius. It's the constant internal battle between wanting to connect and wanting to be authentic to your own thoughts. Many highly intelligent people adopt a boring persona as a psychological defense mechanism. They learn early on that sharing their true, complex thoughts often leads to blank stares or social isolation. So they retreat. They give short answers. They stay in the background. They become a gray man in social settings because it's safer than being the weirdo who talks about quantum mechanics at a barbecue. This brings us to a fascinating thought experiment. Imagine you are watching a movie in fast forward, but everyone else is watching it at normal speed. You know the plot twists before they happen. You see the character flaws long before the climax. Eventually, you'd stop shouting at the screen and just sit there in silence, waiting for everyone else to catch up. This is the daily lived experience of the high IQ individual. Their processing speed is simply out of sync with the social environment around them. When you see a boring person, you're often looking at someone who is practicing extreme selective engagement. They aren't interested in the performance of social interaction. They are interested in the substance of it. But there is a darker side to this psychological trait. When you are constantly labeled as boring, you start to internalize it. You begin to believe that your internal world, as rich and vibrant as it may be, has no place in the real world. Psychological studies on overexcitabilities in gifted individuals suggest that while they may seem quiet on the outside, their internal emotional and intellectual lives are often turbulent and intense. They are feeling everything more deeply and thinking about everything more broadly, but the bridge between that internal intensity and external expression is often broken. You might think that the solution is for the silent genius to just learn how to be fun, But that misses the point of how the human brain is wired. The brain of a high IQ individual is often optimized for deep work and long-term focus rather than the rapid-fire, shallow switching required for high-energy social environments. In a world that rewards the loudest voice in the room, the silent genius is often overlooked, dismissed as someone who has nothing to contribute. But think about it this way: the deepest parts of the ocean are also the quietest. The surface is where all the noise, the waves, and the chaos happen. The depth is where the real power resides. The reason high IQ people seem boring is often that they refuse to perform for the sake of social comfort. They don't have the filler that most people use to pad out their personalities. If they don't have something meaningful, accurate, or insightful to say, they simply won't say anything at all. In a culture of constant noise, that silence is often interpreted as a vacuum. But as we peel back the layers here at Broke Brain, we see that this vacuum is actually an incredibly dense collection of thoughts, observations, and ideas that most people will never have the patience to discover. The silent genius isn't boring because they lack a personality. They seem boring because they lack a filter for the mundane. They are waiting for a signal worth responding to. They are waiting for a conversation that challenges them, moves them, or teaches them something new. If you're someone who has been called boring, or if you feel like you're constantly holding back the real you to fit in, you need to realize that your silence isn't a flaw. It's a filter. It filters out the shallow and the superficial, leaving room for the few people and ideas that are actually worth your cognitive energy. However, if you don't learn how to master this trait, you risk becoming a prisoner of your own mind, watching the world go by without ever truly participating in it. You have to understand the mechanics of your own intelligence, or you will spend your entire life being misunderstood by people who only see the surface. Mastering your mind is the only way to turn that boring label into a position of quiet power. If you walk away from this now and forget these insights, you'll likely go back to feeling like an outsider, constantly wondering why you don't fit in and letting your potential wither in the shadows of social anxiety. Don't let that happen. Failing to understand the psychology behind your behavior is the fastest way to lose control of your own narrative. By staying connected with Broke Brain, you're ensuring that you have the tools to decode your own brain and finally stop apologizing for how you think. If you want to keep diving into the hidden parts of the human psyche, should we explore the dark side of high empathy or why the most intelligent people struggle with romantic relationships? Let me know in the comments which one you need to hear next.